Reynolds coming on saying, hey, in my day, I contract specific muscles to just train them, aka just contracting the lats on the spot. But I wonder, what is contraction without situational use really training them in? The training them is in tension control, essentially. Okay, so remember that neuromuscular proficiency is first and foremost based on your ability to engage the muscle in the first place. Okay, without that, you got nothing. I don't care what your exercise is. I don't care what your technique looks like. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care what weight you're using or anything. If you have trouble engaging a muscle, it is damn near impossible to make it bigger and stronger. That's the simple physics of it. It's like, trying to use a smartphone and you're like, I'm hitting the switches, I'm doing everything on it, I'm hitting the buttons, I've reset it 50 times. It's like, why won't it work? It's like, because the battery's dead. Until you charge that battery, nothing you do with that phone will do a thing. It's a brick. Same thing with your muscles. When our neuromuscular engagement is pretty low, which it often is, especially in stubborn muscles, nothing you do will ever work very well, no matter how you do it. But the opposite's also the case. If your muscular engagement is very high, anything works. Running works. Walking works. Being able to just open car doors work. I mean, don't laugh. I've seen it. A buddy of mine back in college, he had these huge legs. And we're all like, Jason, what the hell do you do for your legs? It's insane. And he's like, my legs are going nuts. It's climbing a flight of stairs. It's like, I don't do much of anything. It's just gentle jogging kind of thing. Granted, that's an extreme example, but my calves are a good example of that. People are like, what do you do for your calves? I'm like, I don't really need to do anything, because when I was much younger, I was kind of taught how to engage my calves very well. Now, literally everything I do is working my calves better than many people who are doing, Jeff Cavalier's calf training program that takes 40 minutes or whatever. Muscle engagement is everything. And when you are practicing engaging those muscles in the way that you're doing, you're setting yourself up for a stronger foundation for everything to be more effective. Everything. And it's one of those things we just have to practice, because it's neural in nature. It's like any other habit. It's like learning a language. It's like playing an instrument. If you don't use it, you lose it. And a lot of times we are not using our muscles to a very high degree. And once you've lost it, not entirely, but once you don't have it very much, again, if your nervous system is compensated in some way. So for example, you should be building up your lats doing rows, but if you're not used to engaging your lats very well, no amount of rows is going to help you. You're just not going to do it. That was the case for me for years. And only in the past several years, I can get my lats to engage to a much higher degree. I was like, oh, that's how rows are supposed to feel. But I could have done rows for my entire life and never really built up my lats to any notable degree, because the engagement wasn't very good. The mind and the nervous system has a really good way of circumventing and working around weak muscles. So it doesn't matter if it's supposed to work those muscles. If it's not, it's never going to. But when you're practicing just engaging them, using them, that's going to go a long way. And then everything's going to work better. But when you talk about situational things like, okay, so what if that works, then why bother, lifting a weight or doing pull-ups? Is because what you're doing with practicing the flexion and contracting the muscle is you're working on getting tension in the muscle, but the amount of tension and the duration of the tension, that is going to be specific to the activity you're doing. So if you're doing pull-ups with a 30-pound weight vest on, that's not going to make your lats turn on. However, it does necessitate the amount of tension in your lats once you can get them engaged. So it's still very important. If you go from doing 5 repetitions to 8 repetitions, you are now necessitating that tension to be there for the duration it takes you to do 3 more. So the weight and the reps is still very important, but only built on the foundation of that tension control in the first place, which is why we use isometrics with grind style calisthenics when we're warming up. You have to be able to get good at using those muscles, and you can always get better at it. You can always get better. I've been improving my neural engagement, my tension control in my hips for the past 5 years. And even to this day, I'm still having breakthroughs. I'm like, oh, that's what my hips are supposed to feel like. Oh, that's different than what I've been doing. So it can always get better. It's a skill like anything else, like playing the piano. No one ever played Mary Had a Little Lamb, and they think, okay, I'm a master at the piano now. I don't need to practice anymore. No, we can always do it better, because the better you get at that tension control, the stronger you can become, the bigger you can become, the safer your training will be. And oh my gosh, it is so much more satisfying too. Your workouts go from feeling like they're a struggle, like, oh, I don't like this, to, oh my gosh, this is absolute heaven on my muscles, and it feels great.